Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
And it is come down to this. We are beginning to set up the Elite Eight in the NCAA Tournament. Larry Smith here, along with producer Tony, editor Josh. Glad you're here with us. Listen, we've got a triple header of guests today. A lot of very exciting. In a couple of minutes, Lo Yarnall of Yahoo Sports is going to join us, talking in the women's game as they get back into play with their Sweet 16 here Friday night. Tom Kakers of Hawkeye Report. Tom's been a busy guy with us because the Hawkeyes keep winning. We'll talk more about that here in a second. He's going to be along as well, talking about this big game coming up on Saturday. And then our friend Paul Crane, former CNN Sports anchor, veteran broadcaster. He and Tony having a conversation as we get into the Major League Baseball season as well. So because of that, we have lots to talk about. Very quick headlines for you. We mentioned, again, in terms of basketball, what a night, Thursday night. Iowa, 77-71 over Nebraska. The Cornhuskers will be remembered for the crazy play where they only had 4 on the floor late in the game at a crucial moment. Ended up being a 3-point play for the Hawkeyes as they come from behind, get the win, 77-71. Bennett starts with 20 points. And so Iowa, now the 9th seed, first Elite Eight appearance since 1987, they will take on Illinois, the 3 seed in the South region, for the regional championship on Saturday. Though one of those two teams, Illinois or Iowa, will be in the Final Four. Who had that on your bingo card? Don't tell me you did. I'm going to come slap you. You didn't. Keaton Wagler and David Merkovich making history. The first freshman duo to each have double-doubles in the same NCAA tournament game since freshmen became fully eligible back in 1972-73. So Illinois now, they're playing like a juggernaut, held Houston to their lowest point total of the season. So that offense we know is really good. Their defense, not bad either. Purdue, by the way, getting a last-minute tip-in bucket by Trey Kaufman-Wren as they hold off Texas's upset bid. The Longhorns fall as the 11th seed. Arizona, 20 points better than Arkansas. So number 1 Wildcats versus number 2 Purdue, the preseason number 1, those Boilermakers for the West Final. Meanwhile, on Friday night, the other Sweet 16 game, St. John's versus number 1 Duke. Rick Pitino, 2 wins away from his first Final Four since 2013 with Louisville, and a 4th school to the Final Four. Pitino is amazing. Michigan State, the 3 seed, taking on former 2-time champion UConn in the other game in the East region in D.C. In Chicago in the Midwest, number 1 seed Michigan taking on 4 seed Alabama. Tennessee trying to make it 3 straight Elite Eight appearances. They're the 6 seed taking on number 2 Iowa State in that second contest there in the Chicago. Again, ladies, road to Elite Eight begins later on Friday. Notre Dame and Vanderbilt doing battle Friday afternoon. Number 1 UConn takes on 4 seed North Carolina. Top seed UCLA out west versus Big Ten rival Minnesota. The Gophers, the 4 seed, 2-seeded LSU takes on ACC champs Duke. Women's Sweet 16 getting started here on this Friday, and it's always an exciting tournament. Love to see the storylines developing there. And again, we've talked so many times before about the bigger interest in women's sports, the viewership numbers, the attendance we've seen. Joining us once again on the show here is our friend Lo Yarnall with Yahoo Sports. Lo, always good to talk with you. Let's first start talking about really just we've talked about, again, the lack of Cinderellas that just doesn't happen. A lot of that is because they're at home court situations. It's kind of tough to come in and beat a team that's so dominant as we have that, at the very top is always much more dominant in women's game than the men's in terms of the difference in there's not the same parity. But this is great to see Notre Dame as a 6th seed, and they look fantastic. And then Virginia getting in the overtime win. I think it's exciting for the game to help grow the game to have these teams in there.
Absolutely. And the team on the other side of the bracket that won on the road was Kentucky. They beat West Virginia and they get to face Texas. But the big one that everyone's talking about is 10 seed Virginia, which is the first team in the NCAA women's tournament to go from the first 4 to the Sweet 16. And they have been as surprised. I mean, the game that they beat in Iowa, Carver Arena is known for being a rockin' place. And Iowa has a huge fan base, as we all know from the Caitlin Clark era, that has continued into today. And for a Virginia team, a scrappy Virginia team, a discounted Virginia team, to go in there and remember who they are and not be intimidated by the environment, both in the first game, all 3 games that they play. They've played more games than anybody else in this tournament, in this bracket so far. But they got their at-large tourney bid in the first place because in the regular season they had upset wins over Notre Dame and Louisville. Both are both teams that are still playing. So when you look at how the committee justified them to get in, it's awesome to see them go this far because, like you said, tournaments, the women's side tend to be pretty chalky. And even the 3 seeds that are in who won on the road are nice to just breathe more fresh air into this because we don't want it's called madness for a reason. We don't want it to be chalk all the way through. We want the chaos. But what I think is interesting about Virginia, they're led by their senior Kimora Johnson. She's averaging 19.5 points per game, which is only second to Notre Dame's Hannah Hidalgo. And when you look at how they got there, Yahoo Sports' Cassandra Negley did a good piece talking about how they don't see themselves as underdogs. They don't see themselves as Cinderellas, that they knew they expected to win. And that's the biggest key now is that when we take away the neutral site or when we take away the home court advantage and we're playing on neutral sites, if a team was not intimidated by the home court advantage, Notre Dame beat Ohio State. That's another rocking place to be. No discount, not discounting West Virginia. That's a tough environment to play in. Kentucky, Notre Dame, and Virginia are coming into these neutral sites, if anything, as a relief because they don't have to go up against the home court that they already beat. So if I were other teams, I would be seriously concerned about them.
I was talking with one of the reporters that covers the Kentucky women's team, and she was telling me that, it just was after the game was like just this really awkward silence. Here you win this emotional down to the final seconds game, and the Kentucky contingent was so small that in the arena it was like just like the horn went off and it was just silence because it's all the home fans there.
Exactly. I mean, that's the best thing to do. The best way to silence a rowdy home crowd is to score points and eventually beat them. And when you're looking at a neutral site, when hopefully both teams travel equally, it's just going to give more fuel to their fire.
Yeah. Will we come to that anytime soon? I mean, we know why the men did it for years. They stopped in 85 and 1984. The incident at Kentucky was the final straw for that. But we know the women do this because these are games that are well attended and you do have the home court. And so it's ticket sales, that kind of thing. The neutral sites weren't working out. But we were talking earlier in the week about maybe you find a way to kind of what you've done with the regionals now. Maybe you, instead of finding, several sites, you find a few, like there's now 2 areas, each hosting 2 regionals. Maybe do the same thing on the first weekend.
I like the home court advantage. I'm a softball girl. I played softball and I always grew up with the Women's College World Series, and that is a home field advantage until you get to the big dance. So you get to the Women's College World Series. And I think giving that home field or court advantage is a reward for those teams that have played and earned the opportunity to play the postseason in front of their fans. It's not just for the players, it's also for the fans. And when I have found with these neutral sites, you tend to inconvenience everybody unless you are a team that is 15, 20 minutes away from the neutral site. So if it goes to that, I'm not going to die on that hill as to why we need to go back. But I like the home court advantage because if anything, it gives the 3, in this tournament, it gives the 3 seeds a little bit more swag because they were up against a home court. They were up against a team that had everyone behind them, and the noise did not faze them. And iron sharpens iron, and it gets them ready for the insane environment that will inevitably be. Assuming starting in the Elite 8, I would love for that environment to be in the Sweet 16, but just with the amount of games, we all know that things start to get really compact and crazy when we go Elite 8, Final 4, and then championship. And I like the home court advantage personally.
Okay. Well, I know one coach who does not is the coach at Syracuse, and she came out after her game and really blasted. She said, why is it every time that I can coach my team into the NCAA tournament, we have to go to UConn? And she said, I've gotten the orange here twice. Both times UConn, she was at like Buffalo before, another school, and same thing happened. And of course, the committee says it's because of proximity, and that makes sense. It's the closest one. But maybe the committee consider just to change things up, and I don't know, send them to another South Carolina or
I'm gonna call the committee on this one because I got the opportunity to cover Vermont women's basketball, who won their 3rd America East championship in 4 years, and they made back-to-back NCAA appearances. And in those 3 years that they've gone, first year they went to UConn, second year they went to NC State, third year, this year, they went to Louisville. So if you're doing it with the small teams, even if you don't consider Syracuse a mid-major, because they're a Power 4 conference, if you can move the mid-majors around, you should be able to move the other teams around. And I think the Syracuse coach had a very valid point, because I sit here as a UCLA fan of recent. I mean, I've always been a UCLA fan, but recently I'm sick and tired of seeing LSU on our side of the bracket. I'm sick and tired of it. This is the third year in a row that LSU is on our side of the bracket. And granted, we've got one game that, assuming LSU is going to beat Duke and that UCLA is going to beat Minnesota. But here we go once again, meeting LSU before we could get to the Final Four or the championship game. And I'm tired of it. You want to be able to play all the different teams. And when you just keep siloing people based off of proximity, like, don't pretend that there's not a million teams in the East Coast. Like, there's a ton of teams over there that, if anything, it's concentrated to the East Coast. You can find another spot to put them. I think it comes down to what makes sense based off of the seeding, which, if I were the committee, that's your better argument. Say, this is how the seeding worked out. It's not our fault that your teams have consistently been seeded in this way compared to the field. This is just how it works out. But blaming the proximity, all you have to do is look at Vermont. Vermont is one singular example that shows that they can move the teams around.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair argument. Talking to Lo Yarnall of Yahoo Sports, and she mentioned UCLA is close to her heart. Let's talk about the Bruins right now. They rolled through the first two games, but you were saying again that it was kind of a tale of two halves in the round 2 game against Oklahoma State out there in Pauley Pavilion. And Coach Close wants them to play a little better. They're going to kind of try to get to the Final Four.
I mean, looking at the UCLA, both men's and women's side, they got Mick Cronin on the men's, Corey Close on the women's. These are hard coaches. They coach tough, and they expect a lot out of their teams. And Corey Close did not beat around the bush. She said that they came out of that first round game versus Cal Baptist not looking their best. And Cal Baptist is a team that should not be hanging with them at any way, shape, or form. And while Oklahoma State is a more formidable opponent, when you look at how the other 1 seeds around the bracket are just kicking butt, there was no doubt at any point in time that South Carolina or UConn or Texas were going to get out of their games as soon as the ball tipped off. And it comes down to pace of play. And while the Bruins looked really good at times, they looked really good in the second half of the CBU game, and then the first half of Oklahoma State. It makes me nervous as the competition is going to continue to heat up, that they're not going to get burnt out. And because they move the pace, when you watch the Bruins play, they're very fast. But off-ball movement is going to be key for them, because the teams that they're going to play and that they're going to continue to encounter if they win, that's their game as well. Like, the game just picks up and goes faster as you move through. They've played Minnesota before. They beat them in the regular season, so this is a rematch within the Big Ten. I'm cautiously optimistic that they can get through that Minnesota game, given how Minnesota got to the Sweet 16. They beat Ole Miss and Cody McMahon, who's going to be a WNBA pick. She's going to go make a splash in the league off of a Maya Battles jumper. And that was a very, very close game. The 2 games that UCLA played were not very close at the end of it. So I am cautious that UCLA can get past Minnesota, whether it's Duke or LSU that they end up facing. Both of those teams are defensive-minded teams that rattle off the points, and LSU in particular. And I don't want to discount Duke, but Duke hangs their hat defensively. And I'm very excited to see how Duke and LSU match up, given LSU's a high octane offense. They're averaging like 90 points a game, how those two teams will match themselves. But UCLA and LSU hypothetically have very fast paced offenses. And what made me nervous about the Bruins, Lauren Betts has her sister, Sienna Betts. And the Bruins, when they can make points from around they finally have a supporting cast around Kiki Rice. It's funny because Kiki Rice has kind of shifted into the background, but I don't think that's a bad thing, because she's a fantastic facilitator. Kiki Rice reminds me a lot of Chelsea Gray on the Aces when she was on the Sparks. She is known as the point guard because she can lay it up, but her facilitating and her court vision is what makes her invaluable. What made me nervous was that Lauren Betts and Sienna Betts, they have the height. UCLA has a tall team, but they were outside of the key against Oklahoma State and passing into double and triple teams in the paint. And occasionally that would work out, but more often than not, the ball got taken away. And when you are facing teams in the first and second round, you can get away with that when you have a huge buffer. I'm nervous that as the pace starts to pick up and if UCLA loses control of that pace and they get played, that they're going to make not smart decisions and force plays in the paint. Just because you have Lauren Betts doesn't mean that's where you need to go all the time. And they know that. Like, I'm sure that they're going to go and watch the film from it. They got Gabby Hawkes, Gianna Neepkins, Angela Dujulik, Charlize Lever-Walker. Like, they've got all of the pieces that they need. It's just a matter of keeping control of their game because they do get sped up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. You talked about, of course, we've been talking about all season long, the 4 number 1 seeds are really dominant. As you look at these Sweet 16 matchups right now, look ahead to a week from now, what's the one team, the one non-number 1 that you think could break through and reach the Final Four?
I like Vanderbilt. They started their season undefeated. They did really, really well in the SEC play, given how competitive the SEC is. And looking at Vanderbilt's history through the past couple of years, this is a really great turnaround for this program. And Michaela Blakes is leading that. And she was the leading scorer in the NCAA for a long time. I can't remember if she finished the regular season as the leading scorer, but she did. Okay. Like, she can put the team on her back. And granted, I did not expect Notre Dame to get to the Sweet 16. I had Notre Dame fall into Ohio State because I went chalk. But I think Vanderbilt has the ability to get past Notre Dame. But interestingly enough, is different as those seedings are, a 6 and a 2 seed, 6 in Notre Dame, 2 in Vanderbilt. They both kind of have the same roster makeups where they have their big star. Notre Dame has Hannah Hidalgo. Vanderbilt has Michaela Blakes. It's going to be a star showdown. And I think Vanderbilt has the ability, just like they did in the regular season, to shock some people. Granted, if they beat Notre Dame, they got to take on UConn, which is a whole separate thing. So I'm going to pick Vanderbilt, but I'm going to ignore UConn.
Yeah, Vanderbilt looked really good. Blake's is a real deal to watch her and all the records that she's setting down there. I think she's about to break Shamiko Holdsclaw, one of her records here coming up these next couple of games. She was almost had a triple-double in the second round win over Illinois, which is pretty impressive. Lo, always great to talk with you. Very quickly, WNBA the new deal is in play. Your thoughts on getting this season started?
Man, I'm excited. I mean, the expansion draft is going to be on April 3rd, and then we're going to hit sport mode, as the WNBA always does. They push the draft to a week after the championship. It's a very quick turnaround, and the expansion draft, I'm excited to see what teams, because we were talking about it before we hopped on, what teams are going to protect which players. Because now that there's so much money involved with the new CBA, the team I'm looking at is the Liberty, while I assume that they're going to protect players Stewie's a no-brainer. Jonquel Jones hopefully is a no-brainer. Ionescu would be a no-brainer. I would imagine that there are conversations happening behind closed doors of I am worth more money. And Asia Wilson already got her Supermax. I'm assuming Stewie will get that next. When you're looking at what players are worth that Supermax, and then you look at teams like the Liberty that have a very expensive payroll, are they going to spread the wealth? Are they going to protect those players and then hope that the Fever are another one. While it might not be very expensive now, down the line, it very much will be. And I'm excited to see who ends up either through the expansion draft or potentially free agency. And then going through this tournament, who's going to make their name for themselves? I think one of the beautiful things about the WNBA draft being so immediately after the tournament is that you can change the course of your life in the NCAA tournament. On the men's side of things, you have the G League that you could fall into. Your draft stock has been written for you since you got to college. The WNBA has the ability to change. I think about Ari McDonald at Arizona. She was not on any draft boards. And then she goes out in 2021 or 2022, has a phenomenal tournament, ends up getting drafted in the first round. That is the sort of magic that can happen. And I'm really excited to see who on these teams, besides the big names that we already know, we know Lauren Betts, we know Raven Johnson, Flau-J Johnson they're going to go off and they're going to go in the first round. But who from these other teams, is Kamora Johnson from Virginia? I would say she's already made a case for herself. How does that pay off? And I'm really excited with these 2 new teams getting added. It's just more opportunities in the league. The WNBA has historically been one of the toughest professional leagues to get into because of the small roster sizes. And by expanding the teams, I'm I hope that gives more opportunities, both to players that can get drafted and current WNBA players that maybe found themselves overseas or not on a team, and that maybe they can get an opportunity to come home. But I'm glad that the players got the deal done. It was well deserved, and I'm just excited to see how the money alters the new landscape of what can happen, because I'm assuming it'll be similar to NIL and the transfer portal. Spread the wealth. Spread the
Yeah.
wealth. So whether it's the Aces or the Liberty, how will that disperse to other corners? I'm excited to see that play out.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. May 8th can get here soon enough. Lo, always good to see you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
You too. Okay, thanks. Lo Yarnall, once again, of Yahoo Sports, talking Sweet 16. Little WNBA there at the end as well, so we can get her thoughts on that. Always exciting to talk to her as the Sweet 16 tips off, marching our way toward the Final Four on the ladies' side. Stay with us. Much more to come here on the Sports IQ.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Tom Kakert, HawkeyeReport.com, 79-71 winner over Nebraska. Cinderella lives in Iowa City. Tom, talk about Thursday night, this come from behind win, and what a run here this month by the Iowa Hawkeyes.
It's wild because, they probably had to get a win to stay out of like being really, really in bubble-ish territory in the Big Ten tournament. But, they come in as in the 8-9 seed and lost 7 of their last 9 in the regular season, I think. So they kind of limped in to this time of year. But all it takes is stringing a couple wins together, and then all of a sudden, here we are. Yeah. And it's Elite 8 time. And it's a place that Iowa hasn't been since 1987.
Wow.
1987. That was and you'll remember these teams with the Roy Marble, B.J. Armstrong, Kevin Gamble, Eddie Horton, all those guys on those teams. Brad Lowhouse lost to the UNLV team after having a 17-point lead at halftime and kind of fell apart in the second half. That was Freddie Banks and Armand Gilliam and those guys on that Vegas team. It's surreal seeing this happen tonight. It was just was wild, but happy for Ben McCollum. How about this? First year coach makes it to the Elite 8. Tom Davis in his first year in 1987 made the Elite 8 as well.
Wow. That's insane. Almost 40 years later. That is insane. Well, I thought the second half just outstanding to really what was just a tremendous game in this. And now the Big Ten, as of Thursday night with the Friday game still to come, already at least 3 spots in the Elite 8.
Yeah, 3 and potentially several more Friday night. I think Michigan and Michigan State certainly have a great chance to make it, and we'll see if the Big Ten can dominate the Elite 8 and get we're guaranteed of at least one Final Four team right now, Larry. Right? Either Iowa or Illinois is going to the Final Four.
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's crazy. I joked earlier tonight after the game got over and it was decided that Iowa and Illinois were going to play each other. I said, "Why are we doing this in Houston? Let's just go to Moline or someplace and do it there, because that's kind of the border, right along the Mississippi River. We should do it there,
right?
Instead of halfway down the country."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, take us to Saturday's game. Illinois got the best of Iowa in their one meeting in Iowa City back in January. Certainly, these are 2 much different teams now, the way that they're playing, and they've come together. But look ahead and tell us what you expect in this game on Saturday.
Yeah, the one thing that stood out to me in that first game, looking back at it, was Illinois' size gave Iowa trouble getting to the bucket. They really, I think Avicic blocked a shot early, and it just kind of intimidated the Iowa players. They looked timid going to the rim most of the first half. They were down 11 at the half, I believe. Got out rebounded 38-31 in the game. Didn't shoot it particularly well. They did better, but I just thought Illinois' size really gave them problems. Now, fast forward to like last Sunday against a Florida team that's big like Illinois. And Iowa handled them and rebounded with them on the glass and out rebounded them in terms of offensive rebounds. So maybe they're developing something. I don't know. It's just it's fascinating that this game, because where I live in the Quad Cities, that is ground zero for this rivalry, and to have this game now. Our friend Kendrick Prince and I have talked about this forever. What it would be like if this ever happened, and here it is. It's going to happen, and it's really cool. It's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a really good game because Iowa's just playing with house money right now. They're just nobody expected them to be here, and yet here they are. And Illinois just did something that I didn't know that they could. I wondered if they could go play in Houston against Houston, a really tough, physical, grinder type team, and they shut the water off on them tonight. They shut the water off. That Houston team was taken out of everything that they were trying to do, and Houston couldn't make a shot. I know at one point they were shooting less than 30%. I don't know what they ended up for the game at, but it was not great. And just really, really impressed with Brad's teams. I'm always impressed with Brad's teams because they're just well coached and they play really hard for him. And this is a big, deep, talented team. Stojakovic is playing his best basketball, I think, right now. We know what Keaton Wagler can do. Merkvik's great. I mean, he's kind of the unsung guy. Doesn't get enough credit, I think, for how good he is. So they're a handful, and it's going to be. I can't wait for it to happen. It's going to be so exciting, so much fun.
Yeah, it's exciting. 6:00 Eastern time, 5:00 Central. You're right. Two teams playing at their very best right now. And to me, this is what makes March so delicious. You don't know the matchups you're coming in. Like you said, we never saw, as much as you and I talked during the year, never saw Illinois versus Iowa with the Final Four on the line.
Oh, my God. It's just crazy. I was just talking to somebody tonight about what this last couple weeks has been, because I go back to final regular season game. We went out to Nebraska to cover that game. And then a couple days later, I have to go to Chicago and cover games there. And then we're down to Tampa last week. I'm home for literally 24 hours on Monday, between Monday and Tuesday, before I head down to Houston.
Yeah.
It's been this. You don't even know how to take a deep breath. It's just been a whirlwind of, but it's been fun because this team is a lot of fun. And I'm just super excited that it's Iowa, Illinois. I mean, that's just couldn't ask for anything more exciting than that.
Yeah, and what a great way to start the doubleheader of games on Saturday with these two. Tom, we know you got a lot to do for HawkeyeReport.com. Always appreciate you, my friend. Congratulations. Yeah. Good luck on Saturday. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, we'll talk to you soon, Larry. Thank you.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Final weekend of March. That means it's the first weekend of baseball. Let's step away from hoops for a minute. Producer Tony is with our next guest.
Well, thanks so much, Larry. And, baseball season is officially here. It is that time of year. Once again, we got through the World Baseball Classic, and that was always very exciting and a lot of close games. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Our next guest is somebody we've had on the show before. Larry and I, we go back with this man longer than any of us want to admit. We're good friends, and he is a baseball expert. Paul Crane, veteran broadcaster. Paul, thanks so much for taking some time and joining us.
Hey, Tony, thank you for having me again. And it's exciting. Baseball back underway. It's great. Feels like it's been a long off season.
It's been a while since, we were lucky enough to have, that was probably in my lifetime, probably one of the top 10 World Series that I've seen.
Oh my
the way
goodness.
it played out.
It was great. Um, eh, so many things in it, so many great plays, so many great moments. You can't, and they're so unforgettable. I'm picturing so many good throws to the plate, to third base, to amazing moments. That IKF slide. The Blue Jays literally came within an eyelash length of winning the World Series, to go extra innings and then end the way it did. It was remarkable, but it showed how great the game is in so many ways. Yes, the Dodgers won again, but look how close they came. But they won. You can't take anything away from them.
Right.
And then to be followed by a World Baseball Classic that also gave us so many great moments that showed how great this game is. It was all good, but yeah, the World Series was really special. It was highly dramatic.
I think what I liked most about the World Baseball Classic was seeing all that talent together on one field, watching them compete against each other, because you had major leaguers dotting every one of those rosters, especially the American roster, obviously. But even when you talk about Venezuela, Canada, most of them are major league ball players at one level or another. And seeing them compete and try hard, I kind of almost liked what I heard from Manfred, thinking maybe the World Baseball Classic can take the place of the All-Star game in the future. I don't think that that's such a horrible idea.
I think it would also be a better place to play it. I'd love to see them be able to work it out, because my favorite thing beyond the drama of the games, and I'm with you all the way on how great it was to see these guys who make all this money and playing for their countries, and not some being paid had nothing to do with any of it, because the only guys that really made any money for them, it's still tip money for the most part, were those that made it to the finals and then to win. So they were playing for love, not money. They're playing for love of country. But I think one of my favorite things beyond the great drama and all the great moments it provided was how it shared the game with the world. And it's drawing more. I hope it helps draw more countries and more people to the game. And so I think that was my favorite part. Remembering also, and I think when you touch on when it was played, to be playing it in early March, it was great to have meaningful games in March instead of spring training where people are just working on things. But in reality, these guys aren't ready for this kind of level yet. And I think it was dangerous for pitchers. They were all on pitch counts. There's a reason pitchers and catchers report first to spring training. There's a reason it's 6 weeks before you get ready for opening day. You got to stretch these arms out. Look at all these guys that are on getting Tommy John surgery under the best of circumstances. And this was like, I'm sure for a lot of general managers and teams, it was like just nail biting, not because of the drama of the games, but like, don't hurt yourself, for goodness sake. But I think to play it in July, if they could figure out a way to squeeze 2 weeks instead of one for the All-Star break and play it where pitchers are already stretched out, and maybe, I think that might be a little better for them. But then, of course, you got the same problem with the All-Star game, like on their day to pitch and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know that there's a perfect time, but it was great. There's no question it was great.
Yeah, it would probably require cutting the season back to about 150 games if they wanted to do that.
Now it has no chance. That is no chance. They're not giving up that money.
But we both know that. Now, the one thing, Paul, you and I can agree on this. The one thing we saw in that World Baseball Classic, the ending of the semifinal game with the United States and that last strike, such a key moment. And I'm not bashing the umpire. I don't even remember who it was behind the plate, but he missed that strike. Obviously, it was called a third strike, ended a great game, would have had bases loaded, which really would have really ramped up the drama of that game.
But I think
there's a solution out there.
But yes, they should. I think the next World Baseball Classic will have the ABS, but I can remember you and I talking about this before last year's All-Star game, before it was instituted in the All-Star game. And I remember telling you the AAA games I'd gone to I was a huge proponent of it before they put it in the All-Star game and before they now put it in the season. And that's a place that, yes, it would have made a difference if the team had held on to its challenges. You get 2 challenges. Yes. If you use them wrongly twice, then you don't get any more challenges. I hate the fact that it was all the attention on that because I'm not sure the Dominican Republic would have gotten, it would have made any difference. They only had scored 1 run. I know Soto, who's got probably the best eye in the major leagues, had been called out in the 8th inning on a pitch that was not a strike. And clearly the game ended on a pitch that was not a strike. And I think I can remember you and I discussing last year. For me, it was time, not just because of the way I saw it, the AAA level work really, really well, but pitchers have gotten so good. It's not the fact that umpires are so bad, even though everyone makes mistakes. But I think pitchers have gotten so good. They throw so hard. It's become so much more difficult. I have been tired of seeing batters punished for having a good eye. And I think that was one of those cases. And I think it would have made runners at the corners with 2 outs. I don't know that anything would have changed, but clearly the game should not have ended there. But I think too much had been placed on that when all was said and done. It's not like they would have won if not for that
Correct.
call. That's not true. They scored 1 run on 1 swing of the bat the entire game. It doesn't mean it would have changed the outcome, but it would have changed the situation unquestionably, and it should have changed the situation. It was the wrong call. But I think we're going to see that in the World Baseball Classic, as we're about to see in the major leagues, and it is about time. And part of the new season and having the ABS system will be who's going to get to call for a change. Will pitchers be allowed? Will it be just catchers and hitters? I mean, each team's going to have to make up its own mind. And how quickly in the game are you going to do it? You're going to get 2. And as long as you're right, you get to retain the 2. So with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning, are you going to still have 1 left? Well, you'd have to have 1 left and for it to make a difference like we saw in the World Baseball Classic. But I think it is about time. It'll be very interesting to see how teams approach it.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be very incrementally increase the game's interest incrementally because of seeing these calls. And I just hope it doesn't slow the game down. As you said, in the minor leagues, it's a very quick process. It happens 1, 2, 3, and away we go.
It shouldn't slow it down at all. I hope, once and it may be in the first week of the season when everyone's, I don't know how spring training really did it, but I think it is, they have gotten used to it, but we'll have to see, how teams approach it. But there's no reason for it to really slow it down. Like we talked about last summer, what I saw in AAA and what I've seen so far in spring training, tap the head, turn around. One thing I have seen and I don't like that I don't remember seeing in AAA, there was a batter. I forget the game, and this was just earlier this week. A batter it was a 3-2 pitch. The pitch was low and away, and the umpire called strike 3, and the batter was flipping his bat for ball 4, like he was getting ready to then take off his shin guards on the batting and run to first base, and they wouldn't let him have the replay because he made a motion. He wasn't still. You have to tap your head before you make any other motion. I don't like that because he thought it was ball 4. It was ball 4. So he flipped his bat to run to first base, and they wouldn't let him challenge because he made a motion after the pitch was thrown. I think that's wrong. I think if that continues in the regular season, that's going to be a problem because ball 4, these guys they're ready to go to first base. You should not be punished for having a good eye and getting ready and being aware of the situation. I don't like it. I hope they address that and fix it before it becomes a problem.
Absolutely, because all he's trying to do is keep the game flowing and keep the hustle. That you're taught as a baseball player to always hustle, no matter where you're going. You don't walk to first base; you run to first base after a walk. You don't walk in from the outfield; you jog in from the outfield.
Correct.
You hustle to this and that. And so, yeah, you're asking them to do something that they're not. Let's look at the season that's getting underway. As you look at the American League, should be an interesting year. The Tigers have kind of improved a little bit. The Yankees are still the Yankees. The Red Sox have improved. That, AL East could be an interesting divisional race. The Tigers over there in the Central and other things happening out West.
Well, I think the American League East is really shaping up to be a monster. Of course, we'll wait and see what actually happens when we get going. But to your point, the Blue Jays, who ended up tying with the Yankees, but winning the tiebreaker because they absolutely beat the Yankees like a drum during the regular season. Those are both 94 game winners. And I think both of them are looking, at least at this point, improved. I think the Blue Jays, by getting Dylan Cease, have helped themselves, but they lost Bo Bichette. You like the fact that what they have done after last year and going as far as they did in the World Series, that has to help them. But the Yankees, I think, have improved quite a bit. By a lot of people were just saying they're running it back. Well, yes, their lineup is essentially the same, but you've got some young hitters that, like Ben Rice in particular, who's got a full season under his belt now. I think bringing Cody Bellinger back was critical. I think a big question is Trent Grisham. Is he going to have, was last year an outlier one-off, or is he going to do it again? But they've got a lot of youth in the system coming, but their arms are better. Pitching was a problem for them during the season last year. Just the fact that Garrett Cole's coming back is big. Will Warren looks better. They've got that Carlos Lagrange and a bunch of other arms ready to come up. So I think they have more depth and higher quality in the pitching staff. So I think you can make an argument they could be better. I think the Orioles are going to be a lot better. And certainly the Red Sox, maybe they're a little better pitching. Their lineup, Roman Anthony looked phenomenal in the World Baseball Classic. He looks like he's going to be everything that they thought he was last year when he came up, and he looked great then. But they don't have Bregman in the lineup anymore, and we'll just have to see. But I think, right now it would be a coin flip. I would expect them to beat each other up. So I think the American League East is one of several very strong divisions that we're going to see play out this summer.
And we got about 2 minutes left. The National League, obviously the Dodgers have money coming out of their ears, right? And they can buy anything, get anything they want. Yeah, it's baseball. It happens. The Braves suffered another blow to that pitching staff this week. Spencer Strider is going to start the year on the injuries. They can't seem to get an arm healthy to save their lives over there in Atlanta. And so to me, it looks like the Dodgers, again, the Padres will compete. Milwaukee's been doing it with mirrors the last 3 or 4 years. At some point, reality, I think, sets in that you can't just keep juggling pieces all the time and it works out in your favor. And the Phillies are still the Phillies, and I'm not sure. And the Mets keep making moves, but the moves never really seem to help.
Well, I think we've seen money is obviously important, but just buying players doesn't do it. You still have to have good baseball decisions. You have to have a lineup and a roster that understands roles. I tip my hat to the Dodgers, but they didn't win because they just bought players. Remember, the Dodgers, each of the last 2 years when they won the World Series, 2 years ago, they were facing elimination against the Padres, and they had 2 elimination games they had to come back from. So it's not like they rolled over everyone. They didn't. And, we talked about it, that game 1 against the Yankees in the World Series, they were trailing in game 1. And Freddie Freeman hit the grand slam and won the game. But and it take nothing away from them, but it's not like they rolled over the Yankees either, even though they won it in 5 games. Remember, even that last game they won, the Yankees had the 5-0 lead, and it was just a bizarre 5th inning. And then last year, we just talked about IKF slides. If he makes it half an inch quicker, the Blue Jays win the World Series. So the Dodgers have won 2 in a row. Tip your hat, but they didn't roll over anybody. And they're in for another fight. This is baseball. And we just saw it in the World Baseball Classic. Japan didn't make it. The Dominican didn't make it. The USA didn't make it. So we'll see. It's a long haul. You've got to make good baseball decisions. The National League's got a lot of talent there, too. So the Dodgers have their work cut out. And I can't wait to really get this thing going and see how it shakes out. And we'll see where we are in June and July around the All-Star break. And I think we'll probably have somebody we weren't thinking about. Remember, we talked about the Mariners a year ago when nobody was talking about them. And then all of a sudden they came on. So we'll see who's going to become this year's Mariners. Maybe it'll be the Mariners. I don't know. But it'll be great to see. And it's baseball where even the worst teams will win about 60 games.
Right.
So, it's a sport unlike any other. And I can't wait to see how it unfolds now. Let's go.
Paul Crane, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. We will be back in touch as the season unfolds to see how things are playing out and talk to you again because, like I said, baseball as well as anybody I've ever talked to. And we really enjoy having your opinions and your insight and talking to us about baseball on the show.
Well, I really appreciate it. My best to Larry. And the only team we didn't mention, I just want to get it in before the season starts, the Royals. I think the Bobby Witt Jr.-led Kansas City Royals could be a surprise team in another of those tough divisions. But nonetheless, can't wait to get going. It's all good. So the best to you and Larry, and look forward to the next time.
Appreciate it, Paul. Enjoy the start of the season. We're going to take a quick time out, but we'll be right back with more.
Okay, producer Tony, back with us now. And Tony, this basketball season, this is why March is so beautiful because you never know what you're going to see in any of these matchups. How about the Big Ten first off? 3 teams punched their tickets into the Elite Eight, and we're going to have at least one and probably more in the Final Four for the Big Ten.
Yeah, they have played outstanding basketball all season. There's no other way to put it. They are doing this year what the SEC did last year. Yeah. The top is really the top and the middle is really solid. It's not till you get down to those bottom teams that you find a couple of dreg teams. There just aren't that many in the Big Ten right now. They're all peaking at the right time. That was a fabulous basketball game last night between Iowa and Nebraska. I feel for Nebraska, but hey, look, you've gone farther than you've ever gone before. Yeah. Take that Fred Hoiberg and build on it. Put that 4-player on the court thing behind you and just let it go in the past because that's where it needs to stay. It would be interesting to see if the Big Ten can put 3 teams or more into the Final Four. We've only seen it once, Larry. Remember 1985, the Big East. It could happen again this year. Those teams all look really good.
Yeah, they really do. And Michigan and Michigan State have been outstanding as well. And if anyone has a free moment getting ready for tip-off, 6 o'clock Eastern time of the 2 elite games on Saturday. Look up the history of Illinois and Iowa and Bruce Pearl and a player named Deion Thomas, who went on to become Illinois' all-time leading scorer. Still is. He does radio. We've had him on the show before. There is a lot of hatred from the Illinois fan base toward Bruce Pearl 36 years later. I mean, this was a long time ago. I mean, Deion is close to my age, a few years older than him. But so there was a hated rivalry between these two. I mean, you talk about the conversations began late Thursday night as soon as Illinois was in. Even when Iowa won, Illinois fans were like, okay, you have to win. Like people, our friend Kendrick Prince, Illini guys, was saying, I can't go to school tomorrow. He works at a school with all these Iowa fans. I can't do this. Hey, but I want to get your thoughts quickly. The Big Ten right now, this is really their time. 3 straight national football champions, including of all teams, Indiana, Heisman Trophy winner, and now dominant run here in the NCAA tournament. The Big Ten right now, they're ruling the roost.
Yeah, they figured out the secret sauce. Whatever sauce it is that has figured out how NIL works and how to make it work the best for everybody, they figured it out. like you said, 3 straight national champs, including Indiana. Like, the Indiana story is fabulous in its own right, but when you take a look at it in the context of what's happening in the Big Ten with a Heisman Trophy winner, with this run in basketball, they figured out how to, pool their funds and their boosters, obviously, and their alumni. This is the thing. The Big Ten schools have always had huge alumni bases.
Yeah.
Those bases have decided to pony up. And so, whatever it took, the field is leveled out a little bit now. And the Big Ten is really, really, hitting it right now.
Yeah. A lot of advantages with those TV contracts that they did. And so, it's exciting to see. Well, more great basketball here this weekend. We can't wait to talk about it here on Monday. Okay, we'll finish up with our moment of awe up next.
Those old golf clubs sitting in your garage right now, there's a good chance they're worth real money. That driver you replaced, those irons you upgraded, even that putter collecting dust. Golf Roots lets you trade them in for cash or credit toward your next set. And right now, Sports IQ listeners get exclusive offers. Take $20 off any order over $100 with code SIQSALE, or get a 15% bonus on your trade-in value with code SIQ TRADE-IN. That means the clubs in your garage could be worth even more. Golf Roots is on a mission to make golf more accessible, offering high-quality, pre-owned name brand clubs for every skill level. And if you're just starting out, the Just the Roots starter set is one of the most affordable ways to begin, with full trade-in credit when you're ready to upgrade. So don't let your old gear sit there losing value. Go to golfroots.com and see how you can start or upgrade your golf journey today. Use code SIQSALE for $20 off or SIQ trade-in for 15% extra when you trade in your old clubs. That's golfroots.com. Golf Roots. Upgrade smarter.
Okay, time now for a moment of awe. And on this day back in 1939, the first ever NCAA basketball championship game played in Evanston, Illinois, Oregon. The Webfoots, now known as the Ducks, defeating Ohio State 46-33. They were called the Tall Furs because they were the tallest team in the country. Their front line, Slim Wintermoot, John Dick, and Lanny Gale went 6'8", 6'4", and 6'4", respectively. Now, the Ducks have not won the title since, so that gives Oregon another record, the longest drought between NCAA title wins that now stands at 87 years and counting. And that's our moment of awe. So glad you've spent your time with us here today. Great guests as well. We appreciate him. Lo Yarnall, Tom Kakert. Has that guy slept yet? Probably not. And Paul Crane. Appreciate you as well. Enjoy the games this weekend. Make it a good one. Say hi to somebody. We'll see you Monday here on the Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.